How about this little quirk? You have the people perseverating in their ignorance with schmuckery and cuckery long after any sort of hope of success in any of that is long gone and proven false by the consequences of that behavior. And they continue with it. And now we have a Chinese created robot walking the streets in California. And it is covered in the anti-white flag. And it says here on this news item, a gay robot known as the Rizbot was spotted walking around in Los Angeles, California. I wonder why China would endorse anti-whiteism with this novelty. Of course, we talk about that all the time. China is anti-white as all hell. Not endorsing the pride of the American man, the Southern man. Nope. The pride of your sexual attraction. Let's take a look at this. Also, Colin over here reporting, calling it a gay robot. I don't know if it calls itself that, but it is being called that as a consequence of where it is traipsing and the kind of speech patterns it's imitating. But the gay robot spotted walking around Los Angeles, California. The Rizbot was seen crossing traffic and confronting people. The AI-powered robot stands at 4 feet tall, weighs 77 pounds, and is manufactured by China. The humanoid, in quotes, agent develops, quote, based on deep reinforcement learning and simulation training. It also says on the front of it, right here, very difficult to see, not Elon's bitch. Now, you can go to Elon and you can get all the anti-whiteism from Grok we just showed you. And he just also, of course, got a contract with the DOD. So that I'm sure that's going to work out well. So you have that option. And you also have the option of China. If you don't want Elon's bitch, you can have this.
Not real. Hi, Gorge.
That is a robot.
Oh my god.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
He's like a man.
Yes! So cute! Bye, robot!
Ah, it's waving at us!
High five!
Not real. Hi, Gorge.
All right. What do you think the next 5 years holds? Are we going to see Rizbots fornicating? I don't know about y'all, but I've had about enough of this type of filth, this promotion of filth, this promotion of lies, of what America is and where America came from, and knowing who this information, who's going to be targeted with this information. A white adult sitting around talking about just how bad it is without doing something are the most despicable and lowest form of life on planet Earth. With white children everywhere. I hope the generations to come piss all over all their graves. And I imagine some of those graves will be mass graves. I hope the white kids to come piss on all of their mass graves, because that's what they deserve. I can't imagine anything more irresponsible. Just thinking for themselves. What happened to the white race? How many of these are we going to see? This novelty across the country showing up from China. And can you just imagine now? How is Grok going to one up Rizbot? Bigger anti-white flag? Speaking more and more in a fashion that is antithetical to our ideal of a Western man? So what do people turn to? What have our people been turning to? Well, they've been turning to, for leadership, the absolute worst that they can find. If you are not going to cuck out and just decide to endorse everything Republican and from the content creators of cuck circles, if you're just not going to endorse all that abstractionizing, then they turn to these alternative right-wing creators. And every time I turn around, I am stunned to see how degenerate these people are. And they're just degenerate scum. They should just be hanging out at some seedy bar in some fetid section of town and no one knowing who they are. The white population is to blame. Now, the white population is a little bit manipulated here. But when they're given free rein, they're still not choosing great leadership. They're still not choosing wisdom and faithfulness, fidelity to the white race. But they are given a little bit of a push by the anti-whites in government, the anti-whites in NGOs, who will tell them who they should follow. Because as much as the average guy or average gal hates the system, hates the people running the system, if the system tells them in their media organs who's important, who should you know about, they immediately ascribe value to those people. And so we come to Andrew Tate and Lauren Southern. Former alt-right influencer Lauren Southern accuses Andrew Tate of raping her. Former Canadian alt-right YouTuber Lauren Southern, who no one should have ever known who she was. No female should be followed for leadership. None. No one should turn to a female and say, I need leadership from you. I need my thoughts informed by your thoughts. You're degenerate if you do. You are broken. You are a misfit if you do. But every time we turn around, another dilettante, airless, airheaded, vacuous witch shows up on the scene, immediately pulls in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views and followers, reciting brokenly in the most daft imaginable way truisms and opinions and discoveries long before she ever existed. And Lauren Southern was a particularly poisonous individual. She was pretty, she was young, she's blonde. If it's real, I don't know. But she showed up and she had money behind her. And she had people who could do a lot of work for her. You know, before we had the situation we have now, where we have this agents and behind the scenes for all of these alt-right creators, the resistance, all controlled. And she was able to take the attention and therefore the influence away from a lot of other people who would have been much better for the folks that ended up following Lauren Southern. She was a degenerate slut, a degenerate, stinking whore, a selfish, individualistic grifter that did not care about you in your life, your work, your family. She didn't give a shit about any of that. She talked about our countries and even talked about race when it benefited her, when it got her more and more of your clicks, more and more of your fidelity, more and more of your need to have her attention, buying her merch and everything else. That's the only reason why she never cared about the race. She's no different than Mike Cernovich, no different than Andrew Tate. So let's talk about Tate for a moment. Here you have this degenerate, half black character who went into mixed martial arts, had a little bit of success, ended up in a conversation very early on in the days when there was that transition was being made between those old school websites for pornography and the new type of pornography that was going to be the pornography of the age. He had the luck to be there, as I understand the story, invested, was desperate and immoral enough to use his skills at manipulating women who are injured, women who are vulnerable, deceiving and tricking them or cajoling them, convincing them to get into these industries where he then, and giving him the lion's share of the money, where he then ended up mocking the white guys that he was responsible for defrauding, laughing over them. One guy, he said, turned over his home, sold his home to get a little bit more access to one of these girls because she had so smitten him with the illusion of a relationship. And he said, Andrew Tate, it all went to him. If I'm remembering the story correct, I know he's very litigious too. And then, as his wealth ballooned at the expense of a lot of white guys and a lot of white vulnerable women that he exploited, as his wealth exploded, he was able to buy things like Bugattis, cars for $1 million+. And that got him a lot of popularity. Then he decided he was going to tell white guys how they had to behave, how they had to treat girls, how they had to beat them and strangle them and abuse them, exploit them. And what happened? The white population lined up to get more of what he was selling. That's their fault. There was, as I say, a little bit of a push from the system to keep talking about him so that the population would think he must be special then. He's in the mouths of Newsweek, of Rolling Stone. You won't be surprised that as this comes out, I guess Rolling Stone immediately did an article as well. Former Canadian alt-right YouTuber Lauren Southern has accused manosphere influencer and alleged rapist Andrew Tate of sexual assault. Do you really think the anti-whites would encourage, by way of talking about me and everything I shared with you about relationships in the white race, all of the healthy things I shared, do you really think Rolling Stone is going to do an article on that and say this guy who claims to be a leader of men and then broadcast that to the white male population? Of course not. They're going to give the white male population Andrew Tate, who's going to tell you to beat the white girls. Southern, and then this, the important thing to really appreciate is how truly despicable, immoral, and degenerate these people are. Because all of the worst that humans can engage in is afoot in the lives of all of these content creators and org leaders in the alt-right. And every now and again, you get a little peek under the blanket, or I guess we should stay with blanket, under the blanket at what kind of lives they actually live. You would think the white population could learn so that the next Lauren Southern and the next Andrew Tate, they wouldn't fall for it again. These are degenerate, garbage human beings. Southern alleges in her memoir, quote, that it is not real life, that Tate assaulted her after the two met in 2018 when she was 22 years old. I believe this. I don't like Lauren Southern. She's anti-white. I deeply dislike her. I deeply dislike Andrew Tate. I love that this is miserable for both of them. I love that this is coming out. Why is it coming out? Because Lauren Southern left all that she had accumulated, and that's another subject, behind, and then decided she was going to make a comeback. She wanted to be in the limelight again and fell on her face. And then she tried a second time, still not really garnering attention, even though these mainstream outlets are talking about her. Still not too many new whores. You really can't. It's difficult to resurrect a new, especially when she's older. She wasn't juvenescent. She didn't get younger and firmer and better looking. She's gotten haggard. So this is like try number 3. She'll reveal some of what actually takes place behind the scenes to try to get her some more attention. And that's what she's doing in her This Is Not Real Life memoir. She released several chapters from the self-published book for free, so just free, on Substack Tuesday, saying she was doing so because they, quote, weren't written with the intention of profiting off this incident, close quote. Thank you. I appreciate that, Kate. You know that a person is a shyster when the first thing that comes out of their mouth, and she does it regularly, is, I have no intention to profit off any of this. She just somehow always does. It's like the Haktua girl. No intention of profiting off any of this. Millionaire much? In the excerpt, Southern described traveling to Romania with British white supremacist Tommy Robinson to pitch Tate and his brother Tristan on investing in a right-wing media venture. So Tommy Robinson is there. He doesn't care about the white race at all. She says she and Andrew Tate went to dinner at Bucharest, where he was flirtatious and charming before things started to seem off. Now, I don't know, ladies, you'll have to chime in for me. I cannot imagine how that goofy looking sumbitch could ever be defined as flirtatious. I mean, he looks extremely goofy to me, ugly even. And if I were to perceive him doing something flirty to someone, I would cringe my guts out, not only of myself, but the building we were in. But this is a little whore. And she wants the pats on the head. She wants to be talked about. She wants to be celebrated. This is this female drive. One of the other things we're not talking about tonight, another woman raping children, female empowerment. Another one, I mean, it's just like a tsunami of female pedophiles raping children. Wanting the attention, wanting the pats on the head. That's what matters to them. That's what matters. As well as all of the male females out there involved in so much of the alt-right leadership. Southern says the Tates later invited her back to their compound to discuss the possible investment, but they instead took her to a nightclub where she vomited after one cocktail and one shot. She claims Andrew then picked her up, put her in a car, and took her back to his hotel room. There, quote, he kissed me and wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it, and I wasn't looking for it, but I kissed him back briefly, and then I told him I wanted to sleep, she writes. I was extraordinarily tired. He wanted to go further. I said no very clearly multiple times and tried to pull his hands off me. Southern says she attempted to fight back as Tate, quote, put his arm around my neck and began strangling me unconscious. She claims that every time she regained enough consciousness to pull at his arm, he strangled her again. Now, you want to say, well, that seems unbelievable. The whore went back to his house. Yes, she did. She's a whore. Apparently, according to her ex, she also gave oral to Tommy Robinson. But we also know that Andrew Tate has bragged about choking women unconscious. We also have heard about him doing this. We also have heard from his previous girlfriend about him choking her almost unconscious. So I'm inclined to believe that he choked her unconscious. I'd prefer not to share the rest. It's pretty obvious, she writes. Southern describes years later reading a news article about other alleged assaults by Tate that were consistent with her experience. She concludes that her assault was a driving force in her decision to leave right-wing politics. So there you have the fabulous news for two absolute losers, leaders of the alt-right. And we have this. These are from conversations that this person had with Lauren Southern's ex-husband. This idiot married her even after knowing all of this. He says, this I can answer well, as she used to cry about this to me a few times. It seemed like it was something out online or something. So this is, of course, this is his claims about the husband, and he's sharing screenshots of this conversation, the former husband. Maybe true, maybe not. I'm just reading his claims. He said, what was her involvement with Andrew Tate? I have been very careful about this. So the ex-husband says she was something she cried about a lot. And as someone had screwed her over and was trying to blackmail her. I believe Milo, again, I'm like I have a normal professional life. WTF is all this. It is just not normal. So to really summarize, her and Tommy Robinson approached Andrew Tate to contribute money to alt-right documentary. They went there and saw him personally in Romania. Lauren was attracted to Tate and visited him a few times and started making out and hanging out with during the trip. She went back alone another time to secure money for the project. She got very drunk and she was on her stomach on his bed, and he got on top, pulled her underwear off, and was able to. Lauren was drunk and resisted, told him no and to stop. Let's see. Told him no and to stop. Tate put her in a headlock and started to choke her out, calling her to participate. When he was finished, he said, so what? I raped you. You can't do anything about it. F off. She was traumatized by this all and had a few days later had a cocaine bender in London with a cocaine bender. These are the people that the white population, so many of the white population are turning to for leadership and ideas. I mean, I'm honestly surprised. Did she ever speak at Ameren? I mean, if you're going to have Fuentes, did Lauren Southern ever speak at American Renaissance? If anybody knows, let me know. I wouldn't be surprised. In the process of the cocaine bender with Tommy Robinson, she got wasted again and gave Tommy Robinson oral sex despite him being married. Apparently, he told her they were splitting up. She was ashamed of all this, and we had long and detailed conversations about this, all as she would be in tears about it, as it was going to come out on socials at different times. I remained supportive and caring. It was before we were together. So, is this the reason all of the whoring, all of this, is this the reason that she decided to leave, to get married and leave the alt-right, stop being an influencer, stop being the center of attention? Because there was so much mud on her? Maybe literally, right? She is a self-inflicted, damaged woman. All for fame. It's actually sad. Oh, and she states she got herpes from him. These are all things she has explicitly stated to me. Then the guy on this account said to the ex-husband, "Tell me about Destiny." And he responds by saying, "Lauren uses people to get what she wants. She comes across sincere about this, and she doesn't realize she is doing it." Oh, so you're white knighting for her. You're simping, I should say. We'll take back white knight. You're simping for her. Basically, once your utility is done, she just forgets about you. That's like almost every single woman alive. When it comes to men, once she has gotten whatever she wants from you, then it's done. That's why she has very few friends and struggles to maintain relationships. Destiny was her ticket to getting back in the YouTuber game as a somewhat reformed alt-righter. In my opinion, I had received information that they were hanging out a lot when her U.S. travel ban was lifted. They then started sleeping with each other, as he is in some kind of relationship like that. Now, I don't know if you've seen this hideous little troll. Absolutely hideous little troll. But this is the sordid dankness of the alt-right leadership all the way across the board. This is what's going on. Lauren then got pregnant, and it was a girl. They then just started formalizing the relationship, as I guess there is a kid involved. I do not know what happened to the child or anything moving forward, since, however, have since been told she is seeing Tim Pool, and he has given her a job or something. Wow. That is the world of right-wing org and content creator leadership. That's what the people choose. They don't want upstanding heroes of the West. The next slutty little pretty whore, the next deranged woman abusing, beating, exploiting, sexually, unright guy that comes along, they're going to latch right on.